Once again, Niantic is giving us a vote for our next Community Day. Our options are Weedle, Squirtle, Ghastly, and Sandshrew, and I feel like the obvious choice should be the new shiny, which is Weedle. Of course, when it comes to these Community Days, they have been the staple for introducing a lot of new shinies, and Niantic has essentially followed a pattern for a while, but they've been breaking off from that pattern in 2020. I'm completely fine with them breaking away from that pattern. Of course, what pattern am I talking about? I'm talking about how they would go from starter to a 10-kilometer Pokemon, back to a starter, and then to a 10-kilometer Pokemon. This pattern has been completely thrown out the window ever since the beginning of this year, and I've been okay with that, in particular because they have been using really good mons for these Community Days. Abra was a huge success, and of course in the last vote we had Rhyhorn, but this upcoming one, it's a little concerning. And no, I'm not talking about the C-Dot Community Day, because there is a lot of potential when it comes to battlers and when it comes to gym defenders and gym attackers, so I'm not necessarily talking about that, but I'm talking about the one in June, which we are voting for. And that's what I'm essentially going to be talking about in this video. Let's get right into it. How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count, here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. Let's get right into it. I want to talk about this vote that we have for the June Community Day. Of course, the options are not necessarily that game-breaking. They're not that exciting. In my opinion, we have Weedle, we have Ghastly, we have Sandshrew, and we have Squirtle. Now, why am I really concerned about this particular vote? Well, 3 out of the 4 options are recycled shinies. We have Ghastly, Sandshrew, and Squirtle as either past Community Days or past shiny releases, so having them back in as a Community Day is not necessarily that exciting. One in particular is Gengar. So we've had 3 raid days with Gengar, and the shinies for Gengar is not that rare. There's just plenty of them out in the market, so having a Community Day with Gengar as the special Pokemon, it makes very little sense to me, to be honest with you guys. Like, having Gengar as the focal point of a Community Day, I feel like is a big bust. Ghastly and Haunter are much rarer shinies, I totally understand that, and even Haunter is used quite often in PvP. What they should have done is not only include an exclusive move for Gengar, but one for Haunter as well. I think that would have been a cool way to mix it up, so people can focus on Haunters alongside Gengars. But of course, Ghastly is not the only top option in this vote. It is also Weedle. And the reason for Weedle being a top choice in this vote is of course because it would be a brand new shiny. But for me, I feel like this was a huge missed opportunity. Instead of having Weedle as an option, what they should have done is had another Pokemon that doesn't have its shiny form in the game, and then have Weedle shiny as part of a future bug event, because that's basically how they've been doing bug shinies. It would have been really nice if Weedle got the Caterpie treatment and was the highlight shiny of a bug event. I really feel like it should have been that, but of course I'm not going to complain if it ends up winning the June Community Day vote, because it would be a brand new shiny and it would be a really nice one. I think since the beginning people have been requesting Weedle as a Community Day, so if it doesn't end up winning out in this vote, I'm pretty sure a lot of players will be disappointed. So this vote in particular, what really concerns me about it is the fact that Niantic doesn't seem to understand what they want for Community Day. It seems like for the longest time, Community Day has followed a pretty strict pattern when it comes to releasing these Pokemon as shinies. We could always count on starters and most 10-kilometer Pokemon as eventually getting a Community Day. Like for some people, we wanted Routes, we wanted Dratini, and for some players we wanted Gible to eventually be a Community Day, hopefully later on when it becomes less relevant. But unfortunately it looks like that's not going to happen, because Niantic is focusing on a bunch of random different Pokemon in 2020, and to be honest with you, I was okay with that. I really liked the idea of an Abra Community Day, and that is precisely what we got. A C-Dot Community Day is also very intriguing, but these votes are starting to get very concerning because a lot of these options are past Pokemon and they're focusing on the moves as opposed to the shiny. Now I know for a lot of players they're going to say, what's the big deal? The exclusive moves have always been an exciting part of Community Day, and I agree with you. But one of the big things about Community Day that I really enjoyed was the shiny hunt factor of them. If you've ever been out to a robust Community Day in places like Lincoln Park Zoo, having a new shiny definitely adds a lot of value to that event. And if you're going to have recycled shinies, you're taking that element out of it. Like, I could totally understand that these exclusive moves are really exciting for PvPers, but PvP in Pokemon Go is a niche audience. Not everyone actually cares about PvP. A lot of PvPers are very passionate about PvP, but it doesn't account for the vast majority of casual players. There's plenty of players out there who dabble once or twice in PvP and then they just forget about it, and then there's others who take it a lot more casually, or they will just rank up to level 7 or level 8 so that they get the end of the season rewards that they want, and then they completely neglect it. So, you know, having these new moves be the focal point of these Community Days as opposed to the new shiny, I think could set a bad precedent for the future of these Community Days. I've said in the past that they need to switch it up in order to keep Community Day relevant, and that's precisely what I thought they were doing. I mean, when it comes to these new Pokemon, when it comes to these $1 ticketed events, like, some of these new ideas were essentially keeping Community Day fresh, but it seems like these votes are just missing the mark. And it's not just the June Community Day, we already have the data mined information for the July Community Day, and honestly, when it comes to these votes, I feel like Niantic is missing a huge potential with them. And I've said this in the past, it's not so much the voting system that I'm against, it's the selection of these votes that I really feel like Niantic needs to tweak. Again, Niantic needs to realize that PvP is a niche audience. Just because players are active in it doesn't mean that everyone is interested in it, if that makes any sense. A lot of us are PvPing daily, but it's not necessarily to hit the highest ranks. It's more to collect rewards. It's more for a means to an end. So a lot of players are very disinterested in having Pokemon's exclusive moves catered to specifically PvP. Of course, for PvPers, it's going to be really exciting, but for the rest of us, it's something that we don't necessarily care about. So I think Niantic needs to realize that, and they need to come up with that good balance. Like, why can't they have 2 out of the 4 options be Pokemon that has a new shiny, a new exciting shiny, but also a really decent exclusive move that would be good for PvP and raid battles? That's really what they should be aiming for, but I feel like they kind of missed the mark this time around. Essentially, our only option is Beedrill with a pretty decent PvP move and a new shiny form, and then 3 options that are essentially just PvP specific. So yeah, my only hope is that if they continue to do these votes for Community Days, I really think it's a great idea that they do, but they really need to fine-tune these choices and make sure there are plenty of good options where people will essentially feel like they won even if their favorite Pokemon didn't win. That is essentially how I felt with the first time they did this with Rhyhorn and Vulpix. I really wanted Vulpix to win, but Rhyhorn ended up winning out. But because it was a new shiny and because it got a really nice exclusive move that was great for PvP and raid battles, I essentially felt like I won anyway. That is what they should be looking for when it comes to these votes. I mean, this next one, it's very heavily catered to PvPers, and I really feel like all different kinds of players play Pokemon Go, and you can't disappoint one for the sake of another. You can find that balance, and we've already seen it in the past, so I honestly think Niantic should focus on that for these votes. And to be honest with you guys, I'm really concerned about where Niantic is going with these Community Days. Honestly, I think Community Days should always be introducing new shinies. I think that is a core part of Community Day, and alongside these exclusive moves, there should be a new shiny. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to Community Days, when it comes to my own personal experiences with Community Days, the really nice part about it was that shiny hunt within a community. A lot of communities would come together during these events in core areas like parks and different places. Like here in Chicago, we had Lincoln Park Zoo, and then we had Navy Pier. And out in the suburbs, we had different places as well, like Elmhurst College. It was a great opportunity for the community to come together and play together. And what really drove that was the shiny hunt. So if they're going to introduce new shinies, Community Day was always the best place to do it. But when it comes to these votes, it seems like they're trying to draw away from that. And that's a little bit concerning, because if they take away the shiny hunt aspect of these community days, it's essentially going to kill Community Day. No one's going to be motivated to come out if there's not a new shiny attached to it. Of course, the moves are always really nice, but when it comes to the moves, it's always a bonus. Like, people are more focused on the new shinies. So yeah, these votes are really concerning for me. I'm really hoping that Niantic doesn't miss the mark on why people enjoy Community Days in the first place. And of course, I totally understand that some players will disagree with me, that people focus specifically on the exclusive moves when it comes to these Community Days, but you have to understand that we are now getting elite charge TMs and elite fast TMs, whether through PvP or whether through anything else. So, you know, when it comes to these exclusive moves, it's essentially not that special anymore. Community Days should always be about introducing new shinies, and that is why, for me personally, I feel like Weedle is the obvious choice when it comes to June Community Day. But I'm really thinking that Niantic should have had more new shinies as options in these votes. Like having 1 or 2 options with the PvP move being the highlight, that is perfectly fine. But if you're going to have these PvP votes, I really think it should be a much harder decision, rather than it being specifically one new shiny and then a bunch of recycles with a nice PvP move. It's going to create a negative sentiment in the community. I think the community is very frustrated with these votes, and they're frustrated with each other. Specifically, all the PvPers want Gengar right now, but they are neglecting Weedle as the new shiny, whereas shiny hunters and casual players desperately want Weedle because it's a new shiny and it still has a decent PvP move. But the PvPers are suddenly at odds with other players, and that's not what they should be doing with these votes. They should be creating a sense of community. They should be creating a sense of camaraderie. People should be trying to debate with each other rather than just catering to one niche over the other. But in any case, yeah, these are my thoughts regarding this upcoming Community Day. I have my concerns with it, but I do want to see it play out. I'm very curious to see what Niantic is thinking here, but I've shared what I think they should be doing with these votes, and I would love to know your thoughts. Do you like this vote? Are you frustrated with it? Are you disappointed by it? Let me know down below. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what the community thinks about this vote, and I'm really curious to know what ends up winning, because I really feel like the obvious choice should be Weedle, but it looks like Ghastly might win out because of that move. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. I am Count Jinsula, and as always, be safe, and I'll catch you all later. How's it hanging, everyone? Before I end this video, I want to give a quick plug to my Patreon page. If you want to support this channel, I highly suggest you go and check out the link in the description below. Every little bit helps when it comes to these YouTube videos. So if you want to support this channel, if you love the content that I'm producing and you want to contribute, definitely go and check it out. I have a lot of nice perks, like if you want to be on my permanent friends list, or if you want to get exclusive content or participate in exclusive content that's coming soon, definitely go and check it out. And to all of my patrons, I thank you for supporting my channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and if you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that little bell so you stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Follow me on social media at Count Jinsula. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, have a great day. I'll catch you all later.